Well, good morning. I'm going to start by saying, when your time comes and you're standing, God calls you home and you're standing before the gates of St. Peter and you're having a hard time getting in, remind him about coming to Mass on a day like today. Okay? So, a number of years ago, there was a principal at Bishop Moore called Mr. Scott Brogan. I think some of you probably know him. Wonderful man. And he used to do announcements at the end of the day, and then he would dismiss everybody. And he would say something at the end when he dismissed everybody. And now I'm going to put my son on the spot here, and I'm going to pay for it later. Jack, where are you at? What did he say? Make good choices. That's right. That's what today's gospel is about, making good choices. You see, Jesus is talking to the elders of the church, and he's calling out their hypocrisy because they show themselves as one thing but act in another way. And so he gives them this illustration that they may see it for themselves what they're doing. A man owns a vineyard. He goes to his son, says, go out there and work in the vineyard. The son says, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do it. But later realizes, no, I really need to do that for my dad, and goes out and works. Goes to the next son, go out in the vineyard and work. Sure, I'll do that, but doesn't go. And he asks them, because in the beginning he says, I want your opinion. Which one was right? And they all agree that the first one was the correct one. He changed his ways. He made a choice to go out there and do what the Father said. And then he says something very poignant to them. He says, tax collectors and prostitutes are getting into heaven before you. Now that's powerful, because back then, tax collectors and prostitutes were the lowest of the low. The elders of the church looked down on them like they were nothing. So to make that statement, calling them out that way, was powerful. But his point was, you don't believe who I am. You didn't believe John the Baptist, you don't believe me now in front of you. Until you change your ways, until you make a choice to believe in me, you're not getting into heaven. Now, I believe that each of us, before we're even born, we're instilled with what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. Now, certainly whoever brings us up, guardians or parents or whoever it is, brings that out of us, teaches us lessons that we hopefully carry on through life, making good choices. I believe that even the most heinous criminal in prison knows the difference between good and bad. When I was young, my father told me one time, he said, Bill, in every situation in life, you have a choice to look at it in a positive way or a negative way. And if you look at it in a positive way, the chances are you're going to make good decisions in that situation. And if you look at it in a negative way, chances are you're going to make bad decisions in that situation. And I found that to be very true in my life. I consider myself a very positive person. I like to look at things in a positive light, and I strive for that. Do I always do it? No. Put me out on these roads in Central Florida and all bets are off. But I think we're called as Christians to look at things positive, to make good choices in that sense. Now, the good news is, even when we don't make the best choices in the world and we mess up, we can be redeemed. Forgiveness is right there for us. We just have to go to God and ask for forgiveness. We go to our priest for confession and ask for forgiveness. And it's right there. It's right there. Now, certainly when we mess up, sometimes there's damage here on earth that we cause. And to make the right choice after we made a good choice is to go to that person, to go to that damage and try to fix it. So We all make good choices, we all make bad choices. What redeems me, what I love to think about, and I thought about this when I was preparing for this, is the lives of many of the saints and how they lived with a lot of bad decisions in their early lives, a lot of bad decisions, but later turned that around and made good decisions. The saints are such an inspiration for all of us. I encourage you to read their stories. But I also look out here and I say, who's the next saint? Amen.